Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you. Welcome. So, I got triggered today. Tell me if this has ever happened to you. Have you ever wanted to create a specific manifestation in your life, but you are really not doing anything to bring it about in your life? Like, you ask for a sign from the universe. I'm ready to create XYZ, whatever it is. And then you're not really serious about taking the action and you're like doubling in it, right? You're not committed. And so the universe sends you signs after signs, but you are either not really committed or you're not taking action. But then you keep asking for the universe to give you a sign. And every sign that comes your way is like either you think it's too much or it's really not gonna work for whatever reason, right? So I've been wanting to manifest a specific thing for a while now, but as you may know, how we are acting right now is not the match for where we're going, or the same rules that we operate in at this time, like whether your mindset or your energy and the way that you're showing up, they don't really apply to where you're going. And so that you're gonna have to take different actions if you want to receive the thing that you are manifesting. But I've been kind of dabbling in it and like not really being serious about it, but then I keep asking. And so God or the universe will send us many signs. And if we're not listening and we're not taking action, we're not committed to it, God is going to use someone that's close to you to deliver the message in a way that is going to trigger you, right? This is what happened to me today. And so they just delivered a message to me, and then I was very hurt. I was very upset, because the reason that I was upset wasn't because of what they said. It's because it came from them. It's like someone close to me. Like, it's almost like, how dare you, right? It's okay for me to say those things to me, to say that I'm not really serious about it, but for you to say it coming from you and you love me, it's like, it hurt. But it also woke me up to what I'm not doing. Like, I'm not taking the action. I'm not serious and committed. And so that's what happens. It's not like, so what you are doing right now, if you are in a manifestation process, how you are showing up, and the person that you are taking the action to become shows up very differently. They think about themselves very differently. They take different actions and they're serious about what it is that they want. So I think, hello, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. So this is the missing piece, I think, in manifestation we usually don't get, or at least we need to understand when we are in a creation process, that who you are being needs to be different in order for you to become the person that can have what you say you want, right? Because what we're doing when we are creating is that we are reintroducing ourselves, we are reintroducing our frequency to the person that already has it, and to ourselves, because it's one and the same person. It's just that our mindset needs to shift. It needs to change. Our energy, our frequency needs to change in order to match the frequency of our desire, right? But it's not always easy. It's really not easy, because you are comfortable showing up a certain way every day. And so change in general is not going to be easy. Like, you're going to have to be honest with yourself. And so this is where, like I mentioned, if we're not listening, if we're not taking the action steps that we are receiving from the divine, from God, from the universe, this is where we get triggered. Or God uses someone very close to you, very close, that you don't really think that they would hurt you on purpose. And it's not on purpose. But in the moment when you get triggered, it's almost like, like I said, how dare you, right? But it's a message for us to be honest with ourselves. Are we just gonna keep talking about this thing, or are we actually gonna be committed and finally take the action? And so I'm committed. I see it clearly now. It just so happens it took this particular situation to happen to show me where I'm hiding. And so I'm not hiding anymore, and I'm going to be taking bold action like I really have been for the past week. But there was something that I was holding on to that wasn't serving me when it comes to like mindset wise, the way I was thinking. And so it took this painful experience to show me what I'm still like, you know, holding on to that is not aligned with where I'm going. So hello, welcome. So I don't know if you do relate to this story, or if you've been through a similar situation where you want something different for your life. You see that you're not happy with the way your life it currently is, and so you go on a transformational journey, but you reach a point where you're like, do I want to continue, or do I want to go back, or just like, you know, stop? And it's not to say that you can't stop taking action, you can't stop becoming better every day. You can, because this is your life, and you're the divine being of your life, or the main character of your experience. Also, you decide what you're going to bring into your experience. But self-transformation is about self-honesty and seeing what we're going to tolerate anymore and what we're not going to tolerate anymore, like what we're going to derive our actions from. So, but also there's the issue, well, I don't know if it's an issue, but there's this thing where our ego is comfortable in our comfort zone, so it's going to try to keep us safe, it's going to try to make us stop. And I think this is what was happening actually. Now that I think of it, I wasn't really committed to taking a particular action. I was taking the action, then I stopped. You know, come to think of it, I was thinking in terms of, well, I've been taking this action for a few days now, I deserve a break. But even though I've been talking about the ego and how it stops us, I was actually asleep to that myself. Now, I've been able to recognize when I was in resistance, when ego was trying to stop me, but not in this particular situation. That's interesting to see. Anyway, when you're comfortable and you've been in one zone of experiencing yourself for years, the ego has learned to stop you. The ego has learned to be comfortable with you in that specific way that you're experiencing yourself. But then when you decide to consciously and intentionally choose to manifest a different experience for yourself, the ego is going to be like, okay, they're just lying to themselves. I'm going to give them 5 days. On the 6th day, I'm going to come in and, you know, tell them they've done enough. It's time for you to stop, you know, stop, watch Netflix, do something else. Just don't take the action. It's because it's almost like we are threatening its existence, right? Because it's comfortable, like I said. But when you continue to take action, it's like you're showing the ego, hey, you're not in control here. You're here to help me. You're not here to take over and tell me what to do. But usually we don't know that, because it feels like the truth. It feels like, yeah, I've been taking this action for like 7 days and I don't see anything from it. And so I do deserve a break. I'm gonna take a break on the 8th day and just like chill. What the ego is doing there is it's attempting to break your momentum. And so when you listen and actually stop doing the action, yeah, you feel good in the moment. And especially if you say, I'm gonna continue tomorrow, you're not continuing tomorrow. You're actually starting over, but you don't know it, right? And so that's why some people say, take a consistent action for a number of days in a row without skipping a day. It really is true. What they're doing there is, one, they're conditioning your subconscious mind to a new thought of yourself, the one that you are consciously choosing to be, right? And then the second thing that they're doing there is they are telling the ego that it's not in control, that you as a conscious being, you are actually the one that is in control of your life, which is the truth. But sometimes when we have certain blocks and programs from childhood or something along the way that we picked up on, where we think and feel that we're not good enough to have certain things or to be loved, that we're not worthy of love or whatever, the ego is comfortable in that. If you try to have a conversation that made sense to you with the ego and say something like, I don't want to be feeling like I'm not worthy anymore, so this is why I'm taking this action. Will you listen to what I'm saying? Because it doesn't make sense that I feel that I'm not worthy. Your ego is going to be like, yeah, well, you feel unworthy, but you are safe here. You're not happy, but you're safe. Because you don't know what's on the other side of what you are attempting to do. And I'm here to protect you. And that's its primary job, is to keep you safe at all costs. So that's why it doesn't care whether you are happy or not. Its job is to keep you safe. And so it's going to do everything it can to try and keep you safe. And so when someone says, take a certain action for a few days in a row, just to show yourself that you do have the power to create your life intentionally. What is going to happen there is that the ego is going to stop fighting with you at some point and be like, okay, I've thrown fear, I've thrown anxiety, I've thrown, worry on their path, but they're not stopping. So I might as well acclimate to where they're going because I need to be with them. Because it is true, the ego is part of you on this physical plane. It's part of you. Sort of have to have a mechanism to keep you away from real danger. But the ego doesn't know what is real danger and what isn't. Like I said, all it knows is I'm here to protect you. And so when you consistently take an action over and over again as the boss of your own life, it's gonna have to come with you to keep you safe. But we usually don't know that. We just know, I tried to take this action and then I stopped. It didn't work for me. I took the action for like 5-7 days and nothing happened. So this approach did not work for me. But it takes more than 7 days to change your life, because if you think about your current programs, the current way that you think about yourself, you feel about yourself, and you feel about your current life did not happen in a week. It probably happened for years. You've built your current life and everything in it, most likely through repetition of the same thing. You wake up in the morning, if you have a program that says you're not good enough, the first thing the program is gonna do, like right when you open your eyes in the morning, it's like, now that you are awake, don't forget, you're not good enough, right? I know it doesn't make sense, but if we've heard over and over, somebody telling us that we're not good enough and we can't really achieve certain things, it's like the ego has learned to protect you in that limitation, and the program thrives in that, right? What lets the program thrive in your mental environment is you are revisiting it in your emotions and in your mind. Like you keep feeling that you're not good enough, and you keep seeking validation outside of yourself. You keep letting other people program you about how to feel about yourself. And so that then takes root in your subconscious mind. So when that happens, then it's like the program is embedded both in your mental and emotional body, right? And it's gonna compel you to feel it every day, even though it doesn't feel good. I know it doesn't make sense. And so this is why self-awareness is very, very important when we are on the path of self-transformation and seeing what we can create in our lives. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to change your life, and it's not easy to revisit certain programs to see where they came from so that we can address them and move forward with a clean energy, with a clean intention of what we want to manifest. So what also happens is that when you are serious about changing your life, you begin to tap into deeper aspects of yourself, like your intuition, right? Your discernment then comes online. And then these wonderful resources, the deeper resources of who we are, begin to support us automatically. The subconscious mind then holds on to the new way of being that you are becoming, the person that you are becoming. And so with that means you're gonna be able to tell when someone is trying to suggest a false truth of how you should be in your own body, right? Especially at work, we get triggered with by certain people, and we just react mentally, or because we don't know that these programs are going on, and we're just reacting, and so reinforcing the same program over and over again. Whereas you take a few actions over a period of days. Did you know you can change your life in like a month? But this means that it requires you to be honest with yourself and to look at how you're showing up. What is taking root, the truth of you in your mental and emotional bodies. Like what is it? Like, why do you react to things the way that you do? Why do you feel the way that you do about yourself? It's not normal for you to feel negatively about yourself. Contrast is good for letting us know what we want to choose, what we're going to choose as our experience that we intentionally choose. But it was never meant for us to let people program us with negative thoughts and feelings of how we should be. It's not normal that you think that you're not good enough. You are a divine being here to experience life and then intentionally choose what is going to be your truth. Because if you don't know how you feel to yourself, like the frequency of you, like how do you feel? If someone came up to you and said, who are you? What is the first thing that come up in your mind actually? A thought is gonna pop up or a feeling is gonna come up. Well, maybe the surface level, I am your name and maybe your accomplishments, but that's also not who you are really. That's for here to help you, maybe career-wise, right? But that's not really who you are though. Who you are is a deep resonance of truth. But what does that mean for you though, energetically? Like when you tune into your own frequency, when you tune into your own energy, how do you feel about yourself? That's an important question to ask ourselves. Like at a feeling level and at a thought level, how do you feel and how do you think about yourself? And if it's anything less than positive, it's like, who taught you that? Who taught you that that's who you are? Because that's a lie, right? Because when we're coming from negative programming within our own body, created by someone outside of ourselves, it's going to be something like, I'm not good enough, or I can do XYZ, or like, certain things don't apply to me. I can't have this. Other people can, but it's not available for me. Whatever. Anything that is negative is a false truth. It's not your truth. And so you can't really create a positive outcome from a negative feeling of yourself. If you feel less than in your body in any way, you can only create things that are gonna reaffirm that, because that is the current truth that is embedded in your expression, in your energy, in your mental body, and in your energy body, right? You're showing up a certain way, reaffirming that truth in your life every day. And so that means that people are treating you exactly how you feel about yourself. I give this example, depending on who you are at soul level, if you are designed to be nice to yourself, to be good to yourself, but you're treating yourself like shit, or like you're treating yourself like a second, like you're not good enough, then is it any wonder that people don't see you the way that you truly are? So let's say you begin to be nice to yourself, you begin to be kind to yourself, you begin to cultivate self-love, self-honesty, treating yourself with, all the beautiful things that you give your loved ones, all the beautiful experiences that we show other people. So then that means that people are going to change the way that they treat you. They're going to be treating you with love and respect, the way that it should be. Now, if you are made to, if this part of expression, self-expression is in your divine soul blueprint, where the way you treat other people is how they're going to treat you, and you're just being horrible to people, there's an imbalance there energetically, because you're not being yourself. So then when you begin to treat people with love and kindness and respect, you find that people begin to treat you the same way that you are treating them. Usually we never know which one is who we are, like part of who we are, right? But I always say that it's good practice to treat yourself with kindness and treat other people with kindness, right? Because when you do that, you can't lose, because you're being a good human. And we're here to be kind to each other, to recognize and witness our divinity, and to really offer support, because the third dimensional reality is very, very dense. It's not easy, right? And you never know what someone is going through. And so when we don't care about how someone else, like when we don't care about other people and we don't know what they're going through, it can be detrimental. It's the same thing for you. It's like you already feel bad about yourself, for example, and someone treats you really badly, like they reaffirm what you're feeling. It's like, oh. So this is why it's very important for us to really find out who we are and how we're made to show up, because not every energetic expression that is out there is meant to be expressed and experienced by everyone. There is a modality called the Akashic Record. So this is where everything that you do is recorded. Every choice you make, everything that you do here in the third dimension is kept there. This also means that the truth of who you are at a soul level is kept there as well, right? Because there is time, and because we experience ourselves through time, there had to be a record so we can go in and find out what we did, when, right? And for there to be history, there had to be a record. Even the history of Earth, how many Earth there's been, is kept in the record. Everything that everyone's doing on this planet at this time, whether it's the government or whatever, every single choice anyone and everyone is making at this particular time is kept in the Akashic Record. I mean, it has been even before now. Everything that we do is kept there. So this means that if you make a choice that go against who you really are, you can find out what it is that you did. If you are doing everything right in your life, but you're still experiencing negative consequences of something that you are confused about, you're like, why is this here? I'm taking the action, I'm being a good person, I'm doing XYZ, but I'm still experiencing this. That's a big indicator that there might be something off energetically, but we are not aware. We are sort of asleep too, because energy will not tell you what you did, but it's going to express itself. It's going to express the consequence of what you made, a choice you made at some point in your life. Because energy is meant to be expressed, not to be thought about. It's not gonna so energy is not gonna be like, so here's what you did. It's not gonna talk to your mind. It's not gonna talk to your ego and be like, oh, hey, so-and-so, look, you did this 5 years ago to somebody, and so I'm going to express myself now in your feelings so you can feel me, okay? Because there's an imbalance somewhere in your divine soul blueprint. So before I do this, before these negative feelings, before I come in to let you know that something is off, I'm gonna explain myself to you, to your mind and your ego, so that you can have an understanding of what it is that you did. And so I'm gonna come in and express myself. Energy is not logical. It does not explain itself. Energy expresses and experiences itself based on what we're choosing, right? Because we're the divine being of our lives. And so every choice that we make is important. Yeah. So you can make certain choices. If they are not happy, you're gonna reach a point where you're like, I don't think I'm really satisfied with the way my life is going right now. Let me start creating something new. And then that's a beautiful time for you to be like, okay, this is not working anymore. This is working. I need certain things that are gonna support me to where I'm going. And that's beautiful, right? And so when you stop making choices that don't align with where you are anymore, sometimes, let's say if we hurt someone's feeling at some point in the past, if they're still holding on to an energy that was like, man, she hurt me, I still think about that every once in a while. Even though you stopped making that choice anymore, which is great. You're still gonna experience a little bit of a consequence of the choice you're not making anymore. I know it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But that's the time you're gonna be like, because you've stopped making that choice anymore, you're gonna be like, this doesn't make sense to me. Why am I experiencing this when, I'm doing everything right? And so when you actually get your own reading to see what is really playing at a subconscious level in your life, influencing you without you having conscious knowledge about it, it can really be helpful to sort of understand what you did and then clear that energetic karma so it doesn't it can stop affecting you anymore, so that you can continue on with what you're doing. It's very helpful to find out what energies are actually influencing you, and to also find out what your energetics are, right? Because we're all unique and different. Who I am at soul level and how I'm made to show up is very different to who you are and how you are made to show up. We are not all made to show up the same way. We're not all meant to take specific actions because someone says, oh, I found success with this strategy, so you need to come up and you need to do the exact same thing, everything I say to the T, and you're gonna have success. How many people have done that and still haven't really attained the success that this person had, right? That's another indicator that lets you know, okay, yeah, that worked for them, it doesn't work for me. So that means that yes, you found something that doesn't work. At the same time, because you are incarnated here on earth at this time, God, the universe, the creator, does not create anything without support, right? So yeah, you found something that doesn't work. It means that there's something that works for you. You just haven't found it yet. And the Akashic Record, like I said, because they are an energetic database, they hold the knowledge of your energy, like who you are and how you're supposed to express who you are, right? They also hold the history of your choices, like I mentioned. And so I find that when people get the reading, they kind of cut through all the noise of trying out different things, just leaving them disappointed every day, and they wonder why their lives are still the same. It's very, very helpful, and it also awakens our intuition, and then our discernment, our spiritual discernment muscles also awaken. Like we become very intuitive, very aware of who we really are, and we can tell when someone is trying to suggest negative program onto us. I've experienced this myself where I'm just minding my business in the store and, there's this lady next to me just looking at me, up and down, sizing me up or whatever, for no reason. Like, I didn't have a conversation with you. Like, what's your problem, right? But it doesn't faze me. It doesn't even get into my energy. It's just like, I see what you're doing. And by the way, when you get your Akashic Record reading done, your intuitive abilities, like I said, they do sort of open up. And so you can tell the energy behind someone's choice, what they are showing you in the moment. So in this particular experience, I could tell what she was trying to do to me. I'm like, have a good day. But, I'm not going to pick that on as my experience. Because if you're a woman on here, you know how other women, if they don't tap into their own power, if they don't know who they are, and all they know is to just react and make other women feel bad. By the way, this is a program. We've been programmed to put other women down, to shrink our energy when we are somewhere. And for me, as a Black woman, I experience that a lot. It's not unique. Like, this is something I experience almost on a daily basis. But it doesn't bother me anymore because I can feel someone's energy. I'm like, you're trying to influence me. And I see the program behind your energy. No, thank you. But you have a good day, right? So when a woman hasn't stepped into their own power, and by the way, the womb has a lot of power, but there's a lot of negative programs there. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of guilt and shame that has been programmed in us. Not just us, even the women before you, right? And so we're walking around with with other energies that we're not conscious to. We're just reacting and we have no idea. And so when someone hasn't worked on themselves and they see someone who has worked on themselves, they're walking confidently. They're not curious about what other people think about them, and they're just themselves. That can be triggering. It's like, who do you think you are? Who gives you the right to walk that way? Why are you looking like that? Right? Whatever. But I have compassion. I'm like, I recognize where you are. I feel for you. But what you're trying to do, I'm somewhere different now, that type of behavior is not gonna influence me anymore, because I know too much and I know myself. It doesn't do me or you any favors for me to look down and shrink my energy and feel bad about myself because you are suggesting that I feel bad about myself because you don't like who you are right now, right? And so I think this is also why it's important, if you are a woman listening to me right now, to really tap in and be honest with yourself. What is keeping you hidden? How do you feel about yourself? What energy are you walking around with every day in your body? What thoughts come up unprompted in your body, in your mental body? And what is the feelings, right? Because the feeling that you feel, whether you are a man or woman, is fueled by a thought. Like for me, like I said, somebody programmed me to think and believe that I wasn't good enough at the age of 9, repeatedly, over and over again. And so this is why repetition is important if you're going to change your life in a sustainable way, right? So someone programmed me to think and believe and feel that I'm not good enough. And that, program latched onto me and who I thought I was. It was successfully programmed into me, even though I felt that I wasn't good enough. At that time, by the way, I looked at the people that were abusing me. Even though I was going through that, I knew that that's not who they were, that they were going through some type of pain, but they didn't know how to deal with it. And so the easiest thing to do is just like inflict pain on someone else. This is a way that we act out and also call for help, because we know at a deep level that that's not who we are. We know that that's not what we want to do to someone else and to ourselves, really. But if you're not aware of energy, right, it's like, this is not me, right? And then when they do that, maybe they feel a little relief, but they feel bad about it at an unconscious level, and they don't even know that, right? And so until I started to reprogram my own subconscious mind, anyway, to go back to that, I looked at them with compassion and I didn't take it on. But as I kept hearing it every day, until I was about 14, that's when I started taking it on. Oh, maybe there's something wrong with me, because these people have been programming me every single day that I'm not good enough. Is there something wrong with me, right? And so when I continued to ask that question, I began to hear and feel messages of encouragement and love and peace. I began to hear something like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You are worthy, you are enough, you are loved, and you are not alone. That's when I began to see angels. I hope this is not weird for you, but I started to see angels and Jesus as well. And so it's like there was that positive experience that I was having while I was still experiencing darkness and abuse and everything else, right? But before I began to see angels, I actually asked God one day. I was like, why am I experiencing this? Because I had enough at that point. I was very angry at God and my experience. Because it's like, if you think about it, as a child, I didn't do anything wrong to believe bad about myself, and to be experiencing what I was experiencing. So it was like, it didn't make sense to me. It's like, I'm here, but I'm experiencing that it's not okay. Who I am is not okay, and that I'm not good enough. And so one day I got really angry at God. I'm like, so I called out to God. I'm like, what did I do that was so wrong that I'm experiencing this? Am I being punished for something? And then the next day is when I began to see angels and Jesus and, feeling these comforting feelings and messages. But even though I was having that experience, it's like what I was experiencing, the trauma and everything, got louder, right? And so it became hard. At some point I was like, I remember this one time, I was beaten, and on top of my head, there's actually a little dent. I passed out, I saw blackness and then ringing in my ears, and I was sweating and passed out for a few seconds. I felt like I was gonna throw up too. And so after that, I went to my private place where I, communicated with them and like felt all these encouraging messages. And they came up again, as they did, every time I was abused, I went to sleep by myself, and they would just, come comfort me with loving messages and like to make me feel better. This day, it was too much, right? And so in the pain, I kind of yelled at them. I was like, why do you come to me just when I'm abused? But forgetting that actually, when I was happy, they would show up again to like celebrate with me, to be happy with me, right? Which was beautiful. But I forgot all of that was out the window that day. I was like, why do you always come to me when I'm abused? Leave me alone. I don't want to see you again, or something like that, because I would see them. Excuse me. And then a week went by, and I was continuing to experience the abuse and the trauma. I went to my private place and cried, and they never showed up. I felt very lonely and very sad, because I felt like something important has left my life. And so all I saw from that point was darkness. And so 3 weeks went by, and then, same thing happened, and I went to my private place, and then I said I was sorry, and, called them back, like, please come back. I'm sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it. I was in pain. I value your presence. It's important to me. I never see them now. I hear them. I feel their presence, but I don't see the lights anymore, like, the lights. So that program was deeply embedded in me. And so as I grew older, it only became louder, right? Even with the support, the beautiful support from the divine. Because 3D reality is so dense and so real, right? So real that the programs play themselves over and over again in our minds. And so this is where, when I woke up in the morning, this was like when I was in my teen years, all through high school, and then when I was like 22 is when I decided to kind of take a look at that. But it's like in the morning when I woke up, before I opened my eyes, it's like I have this thought pop up. Now that you are awake, don't forget you're not good enough. Out of nowhere, right? And then immediately after that thought, the feeling came up to make me feel less than. That was very confusing to me. So when I was 22, everything became louder. And at the same time, the loving presences that were in my life, they were showing me that I had a gift. But because, trauma was louder than what I was feeling, it's like, I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to hear anything. And so I started drinking to sort of suppress the programming, and then to also kind of quieten what they were trying to suggest to me. It's like, hey, you have a gift. And so it's like, so I started drinking until one night in the morning, like I was like drunk. I was partying a lot around that time. One night I was in Nebraska in my apartment, one morning, not night. I'm in my kitchen doing something, and I started hearing a lot of voices all at once, like, good and negative. They were so intense until I broke down and cried. I'm like, what do you want from me, right? And then I started seeking, after that happened, I was like, okay, give me a sign. What do you want me to do? This was God I was talking to. I'm like, what is it? What is it? What do you want me to do? And then I received a sign. I started seeing like energy clearing videos and stuff, and like, okay. I started becoming interested in that, and so I found a Reiki practitioner who helped me kind of cleanse some things from my body to sort of help my body breathe. Like, when we clear negative energies, and it feels like we are receiving new beautiful energy in our bodies, and like the body is breathing for the first time. without all the energetic entanglements of, negative energies from the programs I was programmed with. And so that really broke me down. Like I cried for a while, and then I just dug deeper into that. I went and got certified in Reiki healing, and then, Akashic Records reading. After I got my reading is when I opened up to the gift that they were telling me about, right? But at first it was very scary. I thought people would think that I've gone crazy. Over time, I decided to sort of explore it and become comfortable with that, with doing it every day in the quiet, in the space of my own home. I was practicing this gift and seeing what it can do. The first time I actually did it in front of people, like coaches, I went to a coach's retreat, and it was there that I debuted this gift. And because, when you're afraid about what you're doing, thinking that people are not going to accept it, and people are going to reject you for it, it's like you're going to most likely call that experience in your life. But at the same time, if it's a true gift from God, from the divine, you are also going to experience a positive outcome from that. Like, you're going to experience both of them, because you are a divine being here, sovereign in your own power. God is not going to tell you, hey, choose this. No. You are powerful. You're here to create your life. You're here to choose what you're going to experience. So it's like, when you experience both of them, which is it? Whether you choose a negative experience and begin to believe that, oh yeah, there's something wrong with you, lady, or you choose this and see what it's about. Either way, you are supported. That's the beauty of God, the universe, the divine, right? And so at that retreat, we all had there was a segment for talents. So some people performed, acted, and some people did poetry, some people sang, and other things. It was my turn. And so before that though, I was listening to someone do poetry, and I was entranced. And then I heard a voice that said, do it. And I'm like, what? It came up again, do it. Okay. So I talked to the two ladies that, I was friendly with earlier, and they said, yeah, both of them almost told me in unison, you need to do it. And they were serious, their faces became serious and said, do it. That kind of scared me a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I was sweating internally. And then I was like, all right, I'll do it, because there was so many signs that were telling me to do it. And so I went to the bathroom. I'm like, God, universe, divine, please help me here. Am I fooling myself? Am I going to make a fool out of myself here? What if you guys don't come through? What happens? Are they going to laugh at me? All the what ifs were coming up, and I just heard this loving voice and essence within me that said, we will never abandon you. We've never abandoned you, and we're not going anywhere. Just do it. Trust us. It's going to be all right. And that sort of helped me relax. And so when it came my time, something strange happened where the room became louder. Everyone started talking loudly at the same time, and really fast too. I'm like, what the heck is going on right now? And then before I could make sense of what was happening, this essence, I guess you can call it my higher self, came through, and I was in the background, right? Came through and told everyone, she went like that, and everyone stopped at the same time and looked at me. Some of them were surprised, looked at each other, looked at me, and then, they were quiet. And then she came through, started introducing herself and saying that she's my higher self, and I'm going to deliver frequencies of healing and transformation. So if you have anything that has been bothering you, anything that is not for your highest good in your life that has been coming up for you, just sort of think about it, right? Bring it to the forefront of your consciousness, and we're going to do the rest. And they did. Now, there was one lady in the kitchen. So this was the living room where we were. She did not hear the instructions. She was doing something. She was kind of a loner, I guess. She liked to be off by herself and be in her own thoughts, which is fine. So she was in the kitchen. She did not hear. So when they started, a high frequency came through me, a high pitched frequency, and went through the whole room, shook the whole room, and sort of penetrated everyone's energy field. I know that's a strange word, but yeah. That's the only way I can describe it. So went into everyone's bodies and literally like took what they put in their minds and like realigned them energetically, like healed it, and then showed them who they were, like almost like tapped into the light within themselves to show them that they are divine. And then after that was done, there was actually one of the coaches that I was talking to. This is what I got after it was done. She thought it wasn't anything important that I was about to do. And so when they said bring whatever you want to clear in your mind, she really didn't do it, and she was sort of resistant to what they were saying, which is you are free to choose, right? And so when that happened, she was holding on to the resistance and like she wasn't really herself. And so when they were done channeling through me, she was like really scared. And so basically what they said is that she was holding on to the resistance and she didn't want anything weird. They saw her, that was the first person they asked, are you all right? And so they were trying to like help her, like trying to heal, to rebalance her body. She's like, no, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm all right. And so they just kind of nodded at her and went on to other people. And there was some people crying and stuff in there. Some people healed a lot of things that they were holding in their bodies. And then someone felt a shift in their heart and healed some traumas, right? Now, the lady that was in the kitchen, after she heard the frequency, because remember, she didn't hear the instructions, she came to the living room. She's like, what is that? What are you guys doing? How is she able to do that? This is too weird. I did not sign up for this. That has to be from the devil. And so everyone's like, no, we are all unique and different. We have gifts. There are stories in the Bible. There are stories everywhere that talk about stuff like this, right? Now, I'm not saying this out of ego, by the way. I'm reiterating what someone said. And so the lady did not want to hear that. It was almost as if the only way that should be okay, if someone said, yeah, we agree with you, it has to be from the devil, because how is this possible, right? And so everyone was like, no, everything's fine, it's a gift. No, I did not sign up for this. This is too weird. I'm leaving. So she went upstairs, and the funny thing is we were roommates at that retreat. And so she packed her bags and left that night. And so everyone's like, it's okay, you don't have to accept it. We're sending you love. And so she left that night. So one of the ladies that was there was very close to me after I did that. And so she moved into my room with me. She's like, don't worry about it. You did great. What you did is sacred and it's important. And, she was just giving me all this loving support. And I was like, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. But in the back of my mind, I was feeling rejected, right? And so even though I was hearing all of these good benefits about it, when I closed my eyes, I was asking God, I was having a conversation with God. I'm like, is it really from the devil? And God chuckled and said, no. And then I was like, can you elaborate? What do you mean no? Like, is there more? Silence. I didn't hear anything else. And so I thought that was interesting, that the same gift that some people, had value with, some people rejected, which is okay. So since then, I actually shut down for a little bit, and it showed me that I wasn't strong in my own self-love and knowing that I'm enough, because I got influenced again and I experienced rejection, right? And it's a journey, right? It's not like when you begin to do self-healing work that it's an overnight thing. But we gotta find out who we are, though. We're here, especially at this time, we're being asked to awaken and to really become who we were meant to be, whatever that means for you, because my gifts are different from yours. But we usually don't know what we are gifted in. And so this is where the Akashic Records come in and sort of opens us up spiritually to see who the heck we are, right? Because the world will program us to believe that we are less than, but there's power in you. But you sort of have to want to find out who you are, really, right? And so I offer the Akashic Record Reading. I have the link in the bio if you are interested to check it out and see what patterns are sort of influencing you at an energy level, at a spiritual level that maybe you may not be aware of. And then if you are a woman and you are interested in divine feminine healing, I also have a link in the bio that, you know, lets you know what that's about and how it can really influence your life, where you are coming from your power rather than outside influences of how people want you to be as a woman, right? Because there's a lot of programs that we've been programmed with how to be as a woman, but it's all a lie to have us abandon who we are and to not go digging deeper to find out just what it means to be a woman. It's very important. There's a lot that we've been programmed to abandon within us. And this is a time we're being called to reclaim that and to be okay in your own body, right? So I do want to thank you all for your presence. I appreciate this. I'll be back at 9 p.m. Mountain Time and then tomorrow, same time. So thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I hopefully wish to see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye for now. Wish to see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye for now. Wish to see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye for now. Wish to see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.